In episode 63, Risk Reviews versus Retrospectives, we draw a clear line between two meetings that sound similar but serve distinct purposes. Both create space for reflection and improvement, but their focus and timing differ. A risk review looks forward, while a retrospective looks back. One asks, what could go wrong next? And the other asks, what can we learn from what just happened? Understanding this distinction helps teams avoid redundant meetings, sharpen intent, and keep energy high. When used together, they form a rhythm of foresight and feedback that strengthens risk culture and builds resilience over time.
A risk review is inherently forward-looking and decision-focused. Its purpose is to re-examine the current landscape of threats and opportunities in light of new information. This is not a report-out meeting, but a decision checkpoint. Teams use it to verify that mitigations remain effective and that no new exposures have crept in since the last cycle. It is the operational heartbeat of risk management, structured, purposeful, and slightly anticipatory. By looking ahead rather than behind, a review keeps the organization's attention on what is still controllable instead of rehashing what has already occurred.
An effective risk review follows a focused agenda centered on change, action, and evidence. The first step is to discuss what has changed, new conditions, assumptions, or external signals. The second is to confirm what actions have been completed, delayed, or revised. Finally, the team examines indicators, quantitative signs of risk movement. This sequence keeps the meeting anchored in data, not opinion. It prevents wandering debates about hypotheticals and instead ensures that discussion ties back to the latest evidence. The structure builds confidence that the meeting serves real decision-making rather than ceremony or routine.
One of the essential outputs of a review is updated residual risk. Teams must assess whether existing controls have meaningfully reduced exposure or simply shifted it elsewhere. Residual tracking also tests readiness. Are triggers still valid, and are contingency plans current? These questions turn a static register into a living document. Residual review clarifies whether tolerance thresholds are still met and whether the organization remains inside its appetite for risk. When monitored consistently, residuals reveal drift early, allowing management to act before discomfort turns into breach or surprise. This is how vigilance becomes measurable.
Risk reviews demand clear ownership and confirmed timelines. Every action item must belong to someone with both responsibility and authority. Shared ownership breeds diffusion, while named ownership drives progress. Each commitment should carry a date, when verification will occur, or when escalation will be revisited. Without time-bound accountability, good intentions fade between meetings. Assigning owners and setting deadlines translates conversation into traction. It ensures that control, maintenance, and issue resolution stay visible. This discipline also builds trust, showing that risk management is not just analysis, but execution that keeps pace with the organization's momentum.
A retrospective, by contrast, turns the lens backward. It examines what just happened, how the team worked, what assumptions held true, and where friction or miscommunication occurred. It seeks learning rather than accountability. The goal is not to catalog every mistake, but to understand system behavior. By studying recent cycles, teams uncover patterns invisible during execution. Retrospectives provide psychological safety for honest reflection and continuous improvement. Where a risk review prevents recurrence of exposure, a retrospective prevents recurrence of process weakness. The two together create a full feedback loop, prevention and learning reinforcing one another. During retrospectives, the scope extends beyond risk to collaboration and process. Facilitators guide participants to explore how decisions were made, how information flowed, and where bottlenecks emerged. Were assumptions tested early enough? Did signals reach the right people at the right time? Were mitigation plans communicated clearly? These questions reveal the ecosystem surrounding risk work. When answered with honesty, they uncover the cultural and procedural adjustments that improve future performance. The goal is insight, not blame, focusing on system causes rather than individual faults, a subtle but critical distinction. Maintaining a blameless tone is essential for retrospectives to succeed. Language shapes mindset. Using phrases like, "What can we improve next time?" instead of "What went wrong?" keeps the conversation constructive. Participants must feel safe to share uncertainties and admit oversight without fear of reprisal. Facilitators can use neutral framing, such as conditions and factors, rather than failures or errors. The absence of blame invites creativity and openness. Over time, teams internalize this culture of candor, transforming retrospective meetings into reliable engines for learning and innovation, rather than defensive rituals of justification. Learning without application achieves little. The insights gathered from retrospectives must become tangible experiments. These might include revising risk templates, adjusting review frequency, or testing a new communication method between owners and sponsors. Treating each improvement idea as an experiment keeps progress measurable and reversible. It reduces resistance to change because adjustments are framed as learning opportunities rather than permanent mandates. By closing the loop from insight to experiment to validation, teams make continuous improvement a habit rather than an aspiration, gradually embedding agility into the organization's risk mindset. Both risk reviews and retrospectives benefit from time boxing. Setting a fixed duration, typically no more than 60 minutes, creates focus and energy. Without time limits, discussions can drift into anecdotes or unrelated issues. Time boxing forces prioritization, what matters most now and what can wait. It also respects participants' schedules, reinforcing that these meetings exist to accelerate work, not interrupt it. A strong facilitator uses the clock as a tool to keep dialogue crisp and purposeful. When meetings run predictably, attendance improves, and the quality of contribution follows. Discipline sustains momentum and engagement. The value of each meeting also depends on who attends. Risk reviews should include owners, sponsors, and assurance partners, the people positioned to act. Retrospectives thrive with practitioners, facilitators, and anyone directly involved in execution. Inviting the right roles ensures that each session achieves its goal. Mixing audiences dilutes purpose. Combining them confuses focus. Attendance should be intentional, not habitual. A well-curated participant list produces clearer dialogue and faster resolution. People engage more deeply when they know their presence matters and that outcomes will align with their domain of influence and accountability.
Artifacts from both meetings must be concise and accessible. For risk reviews, this might mean a short summary of updated exposures, decisions, and action plans. For retrospectives, it could be a brief list of experiments and responsible leads. Long reports are seldom read. Concise records are referenced and reused. Storage and visibility matter as much as content. Artifacts should live where teams already work, within project management systems or shared dashboards. Accessibility ensures continuity when personnel change and embeds transparency into routine. Well-managed artifacts turn discussion into durable organizational memory.
Even meetings about improvement require improvement themselves. Periodically measuring their value sustains relevance. Teams can solicit feedback on clarity, usefulness, and follow-through. Are actions from reviews being implemented? Are retrospective experiments producing change? Metrics might include completion rates or satisfaction surveys. The intent is not bureaucracy, but self-calibration. When meetings evolve in response to their own performance data, they model the adaptive mindset that risk management promotes. Reflection about reflection may seem recursive, yet it ensures that process improvement never stagnates or devolves into empty ritual. Ultimately, risk reviews and retrospectives represent two sides of disciplined awareness. One strengthens foresight, the other strengthens hindsight. Together, they weave a learning fabric that catches weak signals early and converts experience into strategy. Risk reviews sustain control. Retrospectives sustain culture. When teams learn fast and act faster, risk management becomes less about compliance and more about capability. The organization moves from reactive correction to proactive evolution. In this balance of looking forward and looking back lies the rhythm of resilience, the hallmark of a mature, learning-oriented enterprise. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.